Welcome to Seeds of Wealth and Wellness. I'm Mike Edwards, one of your hosts, and I have this awesome and incredible young lady here, Professor Melvina Goodman, motivator and speaker. Melvina, tell them about what we're doing today.
Wow, this is such an awesome opportunity to be able to empower our community. And so the Seeds to Wealth and Wellness is designed, it's a holistic approach to wealth and wellness. And most of the time we think about wealth and we think about money only, but we want to broaden that view to include our social well-being, our spiritual fitness, our mental well-being, our emotional well-being, because most of us are seeking monetary gain and we may get it, but we also want personal fulfillment. And so this program is designed for us to take a look at being wealthy across the board, not just financially empowered. And so we hope that this show will help you to get on the path toward total well-being. And I am so happy to be sitting here with my co-host, Michael Edwards, the CEO of the S.E.E.D Institute. Michael, I term as the greatest motivator of the 21st century, because if anyone knows him, he is always speaking life into anyone that he meets. And so I'm just pleased as punch to be able to share this moment on the stage with you today.
Thank you, Melvina. Let's tell our viewers a little bit about what our mission is here. You know, our mission here is to provide a holistic approach to wealth and wellness. And I was telling Melvina, in 1991, 3.6 million American families had a net worth of $1 million. Today, more than 10 million families, and they're continually adding 1 million a year. Network marketing is part of that approach, but more importantly, people are finding ways to wealth. And as we'll find out today with our guests, that people are also finding ways to wellness. Now, Melvina, introduce our guests for us, please.
Well, today we have with us James Thurston, and James is the CEO of Grab Motivation. And so we're excited to have you on board. And you're also, you used to be a police officer and
Yes.
currently are an RN. And so we're looking forward to what you're going to bring to the table. And then we have also Andrew Lee, who happens to be a wellness educator. And so we're happy to have you on board today and looking forward to you discussing the challenges that you faced in your life and how you have come to the place where you are today.
But you know, before we do that, Melvina, I've got to tell them we have an incredible young lady here. Melvina is going to tell you a little bit about her background, but she is a professor at J. Sargent Reynolds Community College, the pastor of Love Outreach Church, and a SCORE counselor for the Small Business Administration, and actually they're our resource partners here. And myself, I'm also a SCORE counselor with Melvina, and I'm the president and CEO of the S.E.E.D Institute. But definitely check us out on www.seed-institute.com. That's www.seed-institute.com. And Melvina, tell them also what we have up for them today.
Well, we have something planned. So I'm a big proponent of having plans, but we do know that our best laid plans, all we can do is plan. We don't really know what this experience is going to lead to today, but what we hope is that something that will be said here today will propel you forward to help you transform your thinking, because we recognize that if we do not renew our thinking, then we are going to end up anywhere. And so let me just say my experience is I've spent 10 years working with persons affected by substance abuse and domestic violence and mental health disorders. But my primary passion and purpose is really to help people to get their lives on track. And so one of the ways I do that is I've been blessed to be a pastor of a local church here, Love Outreach Ministries, located on the north side. And in addition to that, I will be teaching at J. Sargent Reynolds. I absolutely love teaching, helping people get their lives on track. I mean, I can go on and on, but I don't want to, because I want to spend some time just interviewing our guest And so, Michael, if before we go on, if you have something you want to say about yourself, we can do that.
I just wanted to share briefly, my motivation here has always been to serve the community in various capacities, but I love facilitating groups and I love doing seminars. But more importantly than that, you know, the wealth piece came. I was the founder and executive vice president of New Directions Mortgage Company, and I've been involved in mortgage banking for quite some time. Prior to that, I served the community with the Junior Chamber of Commerce, and I thought that was so important. And that's the JC organization. It's an incredible organization that's out here. And many of these tasks that we have gotten involved with the police department, the Domestic Violence Initiative with Sergeant Carol Adams. And always the best way to be successful, I have learned, Melvina, is to serve other people. And with that, we have some incredible individuals here. James, tell us a little bit about Grab Motivation and what was your motivation to actually get this started? Because you have a very diverse past, which led us to this incredible future.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Again, I'm James Thurston, and to start off with, I was born and raised in the Richmond area and grew up in Lakeside. Had a dream to be a police officer, and it started out working at Richmond EMS for a few years in their fleet maintenance department, and went on to take a few courses as a registered nurse, and then was luckily accepted by Albemarle County as a police officer. Was in that for a few years, but just really had a burning after about 6 years, almost 7 years, to go back to school to finish my registered nurse degree that I had. So since doing that, what I've learned is that there are so many people out there that are just looking for guidance. There are so many people, including myself. I've had my own ups and downs. And going back through life and looking at what works, what doesn't work, the seminars, the workshops I've been through, all my education and training, what I've done is I've created a program called the 4 Steps to Motivation.
Wow.
And the name of my business is called Grab Motivation. Just like you grab up.
Right.
And right in the sky, you grab your motivation, you find out what it is, you find out what your passion is, and you start living it. I know I've done this a couple of times. I made career changes, and in my experience as a registered nurse, and I now work at the University of Virginia, what I've learned is that we basically do as much as we think we can, and no more. And one of my jobs as a registered nurse is to coach our patients to health and wellness. So by doing that, I identified needs in my own life and realized that I can't go out and teach this unless I'm living it.
Wow.
So that's where the business came from. So it's not only a self-renewal process for me, it's for myself getting out and reaching back out to the community, starting here in Richmond, you know, where I was born and raised, to kind of give back to the community. And
You know, James, I thought that was truly incredible. When you was at the S.E.E.D Institute, and I know you've done some work also at quite a few of our churches, sharing this incredible presentation you have on the 4 Steps to Motivation. You had mentioned, what was the first step? Because you gave us 4 incredible steps. I was sitting there in awe, and I know Melvina was in awe too. Tell us, what was the first step that you
did? The very first step to the 4 Steps to Motivation, believe it or not, is to get motivated. And basically what get motivated means is to basically write down your personal core value. And what this means is that each of us has a personal core value. Now, these are taught in workshops, they're taught in planning seminars, but very few people truly understand what it means, you know, to identify with their personal core values.
And so, could you give us an example of what would be a core value?
I'll give you some of my own examples. And it could be as simple as one word: faith. It could be, I love my family. I love auto racing and drag racing. Anybody who knows me knows I love to go to, you know, so I love getting out and enjoying those type of things. That's one of my values. And what happens is when you identify with these values and you physically write them down on paper and you start setting goals based on these values, that's what lines our life up to get the results that we're looking for.
Now, James, wow. Is there a difference between a value and a core value? I bet you was going to ask that.
I guess you can call it, you know, I've heard governing values. Some people I've heard USP, unique selling point, very similar. That's a great question, Mike, because what happens is oftentimes we can convince ourselves that we're living out our values. But yet we're living out a value of trying to please other people and please everyone else out there. And at the end of the day, we go home, we go to sleep, and we realize we haven't done one thing for ourselves. So it's okay to have values of maybe helping others and really trying to reach out there, but your personal core value, your deep-rooted, your seed value here, is what is very unique to each and every one of us as individuals. So it's almost like our DNA. We're all different. We, you know, I may not have the same values as you,
Right.
you know, or Andrew. I mean, I'm sorry.
And so what you might be, what I hear you saying is, in terms of values, we grow up in a family or in a system, wherever we grew up, we have these early childhood experiences. And so nature, nurture, you have children that grow up in some pretty tenuous situations, and each one of those children are exposed to the same thing, but their experience is going to be different. And so our families place values, give us values. And when we grow up, we
Absolutely.
may keep those values, we may question those values, and so we decide now that we are able to make decisions. What of those values do I really
Absolutely.
believe, you know, that's going to, you know, whether propel me forward or whatever that is, this is what I believe about me. So it's going to shape my identity, it's going to shape my behavior.
Well, absolutely. And what happens is there comes a moment in everybody's life, and usually it's several moments. It depends on what stage of life that we're in. I know for myself, changing careers a couple of times, basically what happens is we get to a point in life where we really need to just look in the mirror. We need to look into the mirror and decide, do I like what I see or do I not like what I see?
Now, that's a good question. Now, maybe that might take us to step 2. What if I don't like what I see?
Excellent. Basically, step 2 in my workbook that I didn't mention before, I actually wrote a book, The 4 Steps to Motivation.
Let's show that to them.
Okay.
Turn it around for the camera.
4 Steps to Motivation, and this
Okay.
is actually part of the workshop that I put on right here. Step 2, and this is called Revitalize or Reinvent. Again, it's easier said than done unless you put it on paper. Revitalize or Reinvent basically means, what is it that I need to accomplish in life? Now that I know what my core value is, my personal core value, what do I need to do to line up my life to be in balance with that? In other words, I love helping others, becoming a registered nurse. That was a goal that I had. So what I did is I ended up writing it on paper, taking the steps, the process, you know, giving it a deadline, and I went ahead and started on that. So Revitalize or Reinvent is literally reinventing who you are as a person based on setting new goals for yourself. It is so crucial because oftentimes what happens in life is that we're like a car driving around in circles until we run out of gas with no destination. So setting those goals is absolutely imperative, not only to get motivated, you know, knowing who we are, but to set goals based on those values.
Let me look at this a little bit, James. Now, I'm a business developer, so if I was going to use those 2 principles, Melvina, I would probably use one to get motivated. I would tell a person to write a business plan. So I'm seeing how universal these values are, and then to reinvent or to revitalize. You know what I mean? To execute the business plan. Now, in the mental health profession, Melvina, the motivation part could that be applied maybe as doing an assessment?
It would be an assessment, and as you were speaking, I thought about your second step. For most of us, we have personal traps, and so the seminar that I will be doing on September the 7th, Birthing Your Vision, it helps us to identify self-defeating behavior patterns. That would include our thoughts, behaviors, how we feel about ourselves, and so in your plan, you know, moving from one thing to the other, a lot of times people get paralyzed.
Yes.
And so if we can't figure out what's paralyzing us, we're not able to get to that next step. And so that is, you know, so important to, definitely have a plan, but, you know, sometimes we feel like something is stopping us. We're moving, but we're really not moving.
Because, again, it's easier said than done. Very good point. And part of this program is also sitting down and basically there's a few other exercises that I have. One of them is called Reflections of Yourself.